Welcome you all to the session on the Introduction to Power Systems Module 1 and Transmission and Distribution. In the previous video, we were discussing about the advantages of the systems, DC transmission systems, and we found that the number of conductors that are involved in the transmission of the power in terms of DC are very less, so dependence on the copper is less, so it is very economical. And when we think about the potential stress, that is also reduced to 70% compared to the AC system. Parameters, line parameters like inductance, capacitance, and then the phase displacement will not cause much of a problem, and then these are all eliminated in the DC system, and so the losses are very less compared to the AC system. And with the help of the DC system, it is possible to transmit the power very economically in the underground cables also, and no stabilizers are required because the voltage fluctuation will be very less. And lowering of the voltages at the substations is very easy by installing a motor generator set and that could be used, and then the cost of that is also going to be very minimum compared to the other systems. And but the advantage with the AC system is that AC system can be easily stepped up or stepped down, so wherever that is required, if effectively it could be stepped up, but it is not possible with the DC. And maintenance of the AC power station is cheaper compared to the DC. And disadvantages of the AC transmission system are there will be voltage fluctuation, line losses are high volume of copper is required, line inductance, capacitance, and then the conductance, all of them plays a very major role in the regulation of the line, and then it decreases the efficiency and increases the regulation of the line. Most importantly, with the AC high voltage systems, the corona is a major problem, and then skin effect is also another problem which is observed, which makes the system losses very high. And then because of the skin effect, the resistance of the line increases, and then the uniform conductivity of the line decreases. And in the cables, alternating current causes sheath losses, and then the construction cost is very high. And once the voltages of the AC voltages are increased, and there will be the huge space that is required for the towers, and then the investment on the insulators is high, and all in all it increases the total cost of the system. Practically, when we see the working voltages, it is much economical to use the higher voltages to transmit, because comparatively the lesser losses will be there. And but there is a limit to which the voltage being increased. So increasing the voltage results in the insulation problems, and high cost of supporting structures is involved in it. Conductors should also be of the higher quality. Space requirement for the supporting structures is also high, and the cost of the switch case is also high. So all in all, total cost of the erection of the transmission line increases. And taking all these limitations into the account, the following the voltages that are adopted are: for the generation, conveniently generation stations adopt 6.6 or 11 or 33 kV. For main or the primary transmission, the voltage levels are 66, 132, 220, 275 kV, 330 kV, and 400 kilovolts. For the secondary transmission, it will be 11 or 33 kV. For the distribution side, it will be again 6.6, 11 or 33 kV. Different types of the systems of the transmission or circuits are required. It may be 3-phase 3-wire, or it may be 3-phase 4-wire. So the different possible systems for the power transmission system are: with the DC transmission system, there could be DC 2-wire with the midpoint earth, or DC 3-wire system. Single phase AC system can be with the single phase 2-wire, with the midpoint earth, or single phase 3-wire system. Similarly, two-phase AC system can be two-phase 4-wire or two-phase 3-wire system. Three-phase AC system can be either three-phase 3-wire or three-phase 4-wire. Most importantly, this three-phase AC system, which has got a three-phase 3-wire and the three-phase 4-wire system, is very advantageous. Subsequently, in the module 3, you are going to study a lot about this, and then we will be able to find out that AC system is 3-phase 4-wire AC system is advantageous in case of tapping the two types of voltages from this particular system. So let's consider the overhead transmission system, and then we will divide this into different type of components that are involved. First, let's know about the supporting structures, which are the pillars of the overhead transmission line. Overhead transmission line comprises of conductor. The total So in the previous video, we were thinking about the advantages and disadvantages of the DC system and then the AC system, and we understood that there will be relatively a higher advantage in case of AC system, and then we know that there are different components that are involved in the entire power system. It requires the entire power system requires the supporting structure, conductors, insulators, and also the different kind of supporting structures. So we can understand that so the important characteristics of the line conductor must have uh, one major concern about the overhead lines is that it requires a lot many arrangements, like the overhead line comprises of conductors, supports, insulators, pole fittings, and a lot of space requirement that is required. So totally the function of the overhead lines is to transmit the higher power electrical energy. And then the important characteristics of the conductors, when we think about, is that conductors should possess high electrical conductivity, high tensile strength, low density, and low cost. The metals that are commonly used are copper, aluminum, and steel, and which are either they are used as alone conductors, or it can be used in the combination. So the types of the conductors are not only limited to the copper, aluminum, or steel cord aluminum, galvanized steel, and then the cadmium copper. Basically, the earlier when we started electrical transmission distribution, we were much dependent on the copper, because hard drawn copper was used in the two times, which are stronger, and it is much stronger. That is, it is two times stronger than the soft drawn copper. So, and copper has the best conductivity, and then it has got the high current density, and given current rating, the cross sectional area that of the material that is required is less, and it provides the lesser cross sectional area, so the losses are very less. So it offers the low specific resistance, and then that is what is desired, and then the losses will be less, and then most importantly the higher scrap value is there with the copper. Now after the dependency, to reduce the dependency on the copper, we have introduced aluminum in the place of copper, and aluminum is found to be very light, and then the cheap, and then it is comparatively cost effective to the length of the transmission line, and the conductivity will be very similar to the copper, and then the conductivity of the hard drawn aluminum is around 60% of that of copper. So for the same ohmic resistance, the diameter is only 1.27 times the copper. So it will not add the diameter of the diameter, or it will not make the wire bulky. So the losses will be under control, and then increased cross section of the aluminum exposes more to the wind pressure. So supporting towers should be designed with the higher tensile strengths, the higher traverse strength. So the higher towers leads to the greater sag of the conductor. So the important design of the sag has to be taken care of. But both the support structures of the aluminum need not have to be made strong. One can be made strong, and other can be with a normal strength. So the compared to the copper, the aluminum has got advantages. It is very cost effective, and with this we moved on to the third type of the material, that is steel. Steel has got the greater tensile strength, but it is the more prone to the corrosion, and the weight is more compared to aluminum, and then it has got the lowest conductivity it has got, and then it has got higher internal resistance, and then it is subjected to more of a eddy current loss, and then the hysteresis loss, and then the iron, because of the iron, the magnetic losses will be more, and in a damp atmosphere it gets corroded, and then the strength of the wire reduces, so the usage will be very limited. So now with this we thought of like combining the materials. With this, ACSR, aluminum conductor steel reinforced material, came into existence. Here basically what we did is that aluminum conductor, which is having a central core of steel, added the strength to the total wire, and the number of conductors are of the aluminum is covered around the steel. So this is done to increase the tensile strength of the aluminum conductor. So it adds tensile strength to the total aluminum conductor, and it is mostly used. So the cross section of the metals, two metals, will be generally in the ratio of 1:6, and it can be reduced to 1:4 also, to give more tensile strength to the conductor. So the steel reinforced aluminum conductors has got a larger diameter, lesser sag, and then the higher tensile strength. So the some of the advantages of the steel ACSR is that it has got a better specific weight, and then the steel core takes the greater percentage of mechanical strength, and so it will not be very ductile, and then not like the just the aluminum conductor. It adds to the rigidity of the conductor, so the tensile strength will be good, and then the bulk load of current carrying capacity will be there, and it is most suitable for the high voltage transmission lines. With this ACSR conductors, the towers of smaller heights are sufficient, so sag problem could be avoided to a larger extent, and then hence it will be cost effective. Let's move on to the fifth type of the material that could be used for the overhead line conductors, that is galvanized steel. Galvanized steel has got the higher tensile strength, and it is around 40 to 320 kg per millimeter square. Because of the higher tensile strength, it can be used to the extremely long spans of the short line sections exposed to the abnormally high stresses due to climatic conditions. So the higher stresses can be observed wherever the wind pressure is high, wherever there is ice load on the conductor, or there could be a higher temperature on the conductor. There this kind of galvanized steel is very, very advantageous. So they are found to be in rural areas where the maintenance is normally not required, and the maintenance cost should be reduced. And due to the poor conductivity and then the higher resistance of the steel, it is not suitable for high voltage transmission, so it is used for the short transmission line with the lesser voltage. So it can be used for the low power short distance lines, hence it is very suitable for the rural areas. Let's move on to the next one, that is cadmium copper. Cadmium copper is that at some places copper alloys with the cadmium is also used for the transmission lines. In addition to that, 1 or 2% of the cadmium to the copper increases its tensile strength up to about 50%, and then the conductivity is only reduced to by 15% below that of the pure copper. So this is desirable, and it can be used, and it is highly suitable for the extremely longer spans. And the cost increases because of the cost. As the cost increases, it is used only for the shorter span, smaller cross section, but it is more advisable to include the cadmium and then to use the cadmium copper. So there is another type which is called as the all aluminum alloy conductor, AAAC. So all aluminum alloy conductor. This conductor represents a 30 to 50% of the installed cost of the line. So the conductor, any conductor for that matter, in the overall overhead transmission line system, it occupies around 30 to 50% of the installed cost. If we take care of this 30 to 50% of the installed cost, it is possible to reduce the entire transmission cost. So it is most suitable to focus on this particular area. So hence lot of researches are happening in terms of the materials that could be used. So standard conductors are used when we use the AAAC, AAAC conductors, that is all aluminum alloy conductors, and for the higher transmission voltage transmission, and they are electrically parallel and the separate spiral together. And the main reason for this spiraling together is to reduce the skin effect, which is commonly seen in the straight conductors. There are three types of AAC conductors, and they are all aluminum conductor, that is AAC, all aluminum alloy conductor, AAAC, ACSR aluminum conductor steel reinforced, and ACAR aluminum conductor alloy reinforced. Technical specifications are the standard specification covered under IS 398, and these conductors are used for power transmission and distribution lines. AAC all aluminum conductor, metal purity is around 97%, and it is used in urban areas where spacing is very short and then the supports are very close by, and this is highly used in the metro and railway stations, metro and railway suburban railway stations, and then the railway industries. Suitable for the coastal region also, because there is no problem of corrosion because of the salt and then the humidity and higher degree of corrosion resistance. Now AAAC, AAAC all aluminum alloy conductor to ASTM all steel transmission conductor. It's a bare conductor cable on the aerial circuits that requires a larger mechanical resistance than the AAC, and then it is better corrosion resistance than the ACSR. Now moving on to the ACSR, adding the steel increases the tensile strength of the conductor by 6 to 40%, and then the losses are also considerably less. So let's move on to the next type of the conductor, where it is exclusively used for the higher temperature regions, and it is called as high temperature conductors, HTLS. High temperature low sag conductor. HTL conductors can carry much higher currents, and then it results in the low sag also. And the same physical, with the same physical size as the conventional conductors, this HTL conductors can carry much higher currents. So with this, HTLS conductors can carry 2.5 times the current of that of the conventional ACSR conductors of the same size, and can withstand higher temperature more than 200 degrees centigrade with the less sag. And one of the advantage of HTLS conductors is that the power delivering capacity of the existing line can be increased by reconducting the line over the ACSR line. So need not have to remove the line, but this can be with the reconductoring of the transmission line can be done with the ACSR lines. But they are not suitable for the long distance, as it will become higher voltage drop and then the power loss due to the high current. So the difference in the temperature between the core and then the stand is as lower as very much less. So in case of HTLS conductors, and it is not more than 2 degrees, whereas for ACSR conductors it is around 10 degrees. So we can understand that with this lesser losses are reflected, and then it results in the low conductor cost and then the low line losses. So magnetic field due to the high current ratings are near the vicinity is similar for ACSR and the HTLS conductors, but only the magnitude varies because of the higher currents in the HTLS conductors. Now let's move on to the second important one, that is a thermal resistance aluminum alloy, ATI, thermal resistant aluminum alloy. In this particular type of the conductor, there will be a presence of heat resistant zirconium. Zirconium is highly in demand. It is also the alloy that is used in the jewelries, and then it is a aluminum alloy. Zirconium with the aluminum alloy makes the conductor suitable for the continuous operation at the elevated temperatures. It can withstand very high temperatures around 2100 degrees centigrade without affecting its mechanical or the electrical properties. So zirconium will be added to the aluminum alloy in order to withstand this particular temperatures, and it has got a high current carrying capacity up to around 1.6 times of the conventional ACSR. So this is highly preferred, but the cost is also high because of the inclusion of the zirconium into the aluminum alloy. So the high ampacity conductors, we saw the high voltage carrying conductors. Now we can think about the high ampacity conductors, where it carries a higher current density. So there are different type of high ampacity conductors. They are ACSS, that is the aluminum conductor steel supported; TACSR, thermal alloy conductor steel reinforced; STACIR, super thermal alloy conductor invar reinforced; ACCC, that is aluminum conductor composite core; ACCR, aluminum conductor composite reinforced. These are the 5 different type of high ampacity conductors where it will have the higher current carrying capacity compared to the ACSR conductors. So the thermal alloy conductor steel reinforced. Let's take the first one, that is the second one, TACSR, thermal alloy conductor steel reinforced. Inner core is composed of the galvanized steel. Outer layer is composed of the thermal resistance aluminum alloy. These TACSR conductors are used to enhance the capacity of the existing transmission line by simply replacing the existing conductor without any modifications to the tower power transfer. That is it is going to be the rapid type of making the power transfer. So it can operate up to 250 degrees centigrade. And then next one is gap type thermal resistant aluminum alloy conductor steel reinforced, that is GTACSR. So GTACSR has a unique construction featuring small gap between the steel core and then the super thermal resistant alloy layer. So there is a small gap. Why this gap is provided is that the combination results in the low sag and then the current carrying characteristics. So GTACSR is highly useful in operating the existing transmission line by simply replacing it with the GTACSR lines. The advantage of the GTACSR is that it can double the current carrying capacity of the existing transmission lines. There is no modification that is required to the towers, and low cost, and then it has got the short construction period. Next one is this figure shows the gap type super thermal resistant alloy conductor steel reinforced, GZTACSR, one of the most important one. Here you can see the gap type, that is gap is filled with the grease.